Yo, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be so real. I was doing this video last night, but I didn't want to make it. And I was like, whatever, bro. I'm just gonna make it. But I feel like I'm gonna do something different, like in my voice. Not voice, like in my voice, but do something different and like making like commissary. Is that the right word to use? Commas? No, it's not the right word. I'm dumb as fuck. Anyways, yeah, like I'm like really and truly, I'm gonna work on my talking. I feel like bringing the more energy I bring into like the talking, it kind of like brings a little bit of taste into it, not just someone talking dry as hell and just like explaining something, to their best ability. But then I get it in the long run. It's like, like what, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like you would have to like bring that energy into your video so people can like it can bleed into people and onto people, and that's how you really attract your audience. Basically, just trying to like not sound funny, but like be funny naturally, and just honestly like have your own way of things in making videos or just whatnot, just making content in general. But that was what I had to say. But let's get into the video. Before I'm using Goyo. So with Goyo, as you can see here, I did reinforce sight. You may think, why the hell do you have reinforced? Well, like you can't even talk like me. So like you probably confused on like, why do I have sight cut off between A and B? Because honestly, I feel like it's not gonna take a stretch on to watch Tank. And hear me out. If they take Tank Hatch, it wouldn't really matter because that alone already has like Crossfire invented. Not invented in a way, but it already has angles set on that bottom, like when you drop Tank on the hatch. So I would say you would have to, that Tank, oh, Toxic, I'm tripping. Toxin, dumb. Anyways, Toxin. So you wouldn't really care about them literally taking hash because you wouldn't be on that hash directly, but just be careful for the drop down because they can honestly still play that drop down even if they don't drop, but in preparing to drop. So in the way that I have Goyo, really and truly he can be anywhere else, but like just a Goyo to make sure that they get popped off. Like let's just say they do try to run inside and do a fast plan, that Goyo on top of by the wall, by the desk, they're gonna be watching that just to make sure they can plant in that spot, just to be safe, and it goes a long way on just running into site and planting what they want to plant at, and even though they can't plant because the Goyos are set perfectly. And then you have Jaeger. You're going to have Mira play this, so you may wonder why the hell do you have this open a half wall, blah blah blah. And TMI, if you do use all the reinforcements like you're supposed to, you're gonna have one left, And like late rounds when you want to close off a rotation or anything that's soft, you can honestly use that last reinforce to close it off. And like I was saying, Mira is going to be playing this. Give Mira all your ADSs. When they want to drop this hatch inside of this site, and then they certainly want to clear you out as a Mira player or whoever's playing this Mira, they're gonna have to draw you out. And truly, it works, like it goes a long way on just trying to visualize it, but then again when you actually play it, it's like this is really interesting. So when they want to draw you out, they're not going to be able to draw you out because you have 3 ADSs. They're all Jaegers, and that goes for flashbangs. It goes for definitely grenades, just to make you move out that spot. I won't say it's a power spot. I won't even say it's like a backbone. I would just say it's like power spot, backbone. I would probably say like that. This lab spot in particular, this exit, it's kind of like it's cheesy because it's like it's a one way, yeah, but well, two way technically. It's a two way, yeah, but really and truly, they can't do anything if someone's in there. Pretty much like a C4 can get launched straight ahead into like the site towards toxin, and then boom, that's a kill. Versus you just doing the opposite way, which is labs, and then you be confused on like, why the hell is this guy moving so quickly regarding they don't even have rotation. So it saves you time from going through site to site versus using the environment itself. It's like you don't have to go through the wall anymore. You can literally go through and take that. But mind you now, it is a peak that's on that toxin exit, not toxin, log, not bro. I'm thinking of Clubhouse, not log, not toxin, and it's toxic. Anyways, I'm talking about lab exit. It's a peak that's invented in that lab exit. So just be mindful on like how you use it, and really and truly, yeah, I feel like Gecko is a good choice. I was going to use One Way, but I was like, I don't want to use One Way because I feel like it doesn't really dismantle the gadgets. It just stops them from going where they need to be. And yeah. And then you have Mirror. Mirror goes a long way because I always like it's every map that had like a good hold, like a good, I won't say cooldown so bad, but that's the wrong word. With every map that has like a good state of like being held properly, Mira is the like to go choice. I didn't want to use her because I feel like she would be get banned and all they see is Mira. And then again, it depends on who you're playing with and it depends on how you really use her. So with Mira, this is going to be Mira's spot. Like I said, anyone could play her mirrors, but for me personally, I feel like it's a rule that I go by. If I'm Mira, I'm playing my mirrors. Like yeah, I'm gonna leave time to time so you can switch and you can switch out spots and stuff. But like I just think personally, if I'm going mirror, I gotta be mindful on who's on my mirror so I can know where to go and where not to go. And this would be mirror. And just in case you want to get shot at, yeah, you can get shot at if you even have that case or scenario. So you may think still it's stupid to have the reinforced walls reinforced because you can't go through site to site. Bro, you can literally go through the site through lab support, through exit, and then you're already on the site. Versus going through rotation, and it creates unnecessary angles. Like I mean, at default you have a rotation on the wall to go through A and B, and then again think about it when someone's already taking backside, you would honestly want to realize, okay, if I'm going to take this rotation, can I take it safely? Or I have to like always watch my back on taking it back and forth. You know what I'm saying? And they can't shoot the mirror, so they can't exhaust it. So yeah, and I just thought about it in a deeper way because sometimes it's really annoying when you can shoot the mirrors from like a certain distance and then you have to like literally give it up. And long story short, like I was trying to say, is like just using the Goyos as a way that if they do like throw a smoke, for example, and they get to plant, they're gonna plant directly on the bomb. Like they're gonna push lab support and they're gonna plant on that bomb. They can't plant nowhere else, left or right, because the Goyo will take up like both of the spots. And then you have the other Goyo right on the bomb. Well, not on it, well next to the bomb. So it's gonna take some time for them to actually try to like execute a plan. So it's gonna be a minute. And mirror's mirror, so I can't even say nothing much about mirror. So I feel like all the time, every time, and majority of the time, mirror is gonna get picked because she's powerful. She's a whole black mirror. She can see through the mirror and you can't see her, and she has her cons, but what else can cons do but just crack her mirror? It doesn't save, I mean it saves them, but it doesn't stop her from actually being mirror, you know? It's just now it's visible on both ends. So yeah, this mirror. Tubed out. I'm not gonna lie, using tubed out more often. Well, I haven't used it more often in my unranked games, but standard. I'm not saying it's that long. Like just, I don't know. That shit just blew me. Just saying unranked, but yeah, like using him more often. Not really, but I'm going to in the future. Tubed out. I don't know, but tubed out. If you guys don't know, if you do ice, what's crack? Well, it never is crack. With like low vibration. If you do ice somebody, you can see their footprints. Meaning you can look at their footprints and throw a C4. Do not throw the C4 on top of the ice because it will freeze the C4. Don't do that. So if you ever see someone upstairs, like like a ram, for example, or especially Habana, or like anyone trying to get vertical, you can freeze them, and then based on the information on the footprints, you can throw a C4 and get them out the way, you know? And that's the easy, you know? So it wouldn't be hard enough, but it would be easy enough to actually identify them, you know what I'm saying? And to really talk about me reinforcing wall between sight, and it also saves a lot of time on really not trying to worry about, like I already said, like, you know, going back and forth and then try to come back safely, but it literally separates sight, and that might not sound good, but hear me. You're gonna have people already playing inside sight in itself, and you and whoever's playing lab exit, they're automatically going to want to rotate safely and surely back into the opposite side, which is lab, you know. And easiest to say that, okay, so what? But I can't rotate. Who cares if you can't rotate? You're literally connected to the site already, you know. There's no need to make an extra site rotation because you have lab support and you have lab exit. The moment you leave lab exit, you're in lab support. The moment you leave lab support, you're in lab. There's no need for the rotation. You know, and that's just my personal opinion. You know, it is me, and of course, like playing Lair, everyone is using rotation so they can forth and see inside of sight, you know. And then now that's just means you have to correlate more. You know? You have to like be on your toes, not really on your toes, but you know, because you do have access to rotation, so you're gonna have to go through lab exit to make your ends meet in between lab and lab support, you know. So it's like, only in the end, it's not a bad investment. You have Valkyrie. Okay, with Valkyrie, I was in the debate. I was like, if they do ban Valkyrie, you're gonna need a BP camera. Like, you're gonna need a BP camera. Like, you're gonna need one. Because I say that because it it kind of it does play a part in it. You're gonna need at least two cameras, only, or like beepers, or I'll say cameras. I say that because I'm not gonna lie, me reinforcing damn, that was the worst correct. Me reinforcing both walls uh from sight to the they're basically disconnected. Like me doing that to the two walls, it kind of gives it a limit of like visual, you know, visual sight, you know, POVs, you know, like you can't really see much. Like you have to like physically move around to actually see what you gotta do. And that's why I bought Valkyrie. But if you don't have Valkyrie, or if they ban Valkyrie, you're gonna need at least two BP cameras. At least two. Put them somewhere where you can see power spots, you know? And hey, I picked up Valkyrie. I wasn't gonna pick Valkyrie. I was gonna pick Fenrir. But I was like, I be seeing, like, I'm not gonna lie, what made me not pick Fenrir is reasonable. Like, I'm not, and kind of a hot take. I didn't pick Fenrir because I be watching pros like play, like especially like, you know, like kind of like EU, you know, not EU, yeah, EU, and like, bro, them boys, they'll shoot through the Fenrir as soon as they see that you swung off that sound cue or just pre-fired that mug, and soon as like just in this QU. So it's like, bro, I'm not gonna pick Fenrir because I feel like every time, like, it doesn't happen to me often, but like for the past few times, if I do swing a Fenrir when I hear it trigger, bro, I'm getting pre-fired off the rip because they're just shooting the spot where I'm gonna peek at, and then they're already halfway smoked. So if I pick Fenrir, it's pretty useless. So I'm not gonna pick Fenrir. And it's like, I could pick Fenrir, but I didn't pick him. But I got Valkyrie. So kind of Valkyrie is kind of like not a sub-in, but a replacement. Is way better than like just smoke, you know. But hey, that's just me. But yes, this is Valkyrie. And to be honest, Valkyrie isn't even bad enough. Like, if that's even the right word to say. Like, she's not even bad. I won't say enough, but like, you know, like, bro, it's Valkyrie. So really and truly, with Valkyrie, like, if I want to be honest, if you don't want to use Valkyrie, you can use Mute. So you can sub in mute for Valkyrie and vice versa. If you don't want to use Tubal, you can use Kaid or Echo. And that's the only two sub-ins I have for the last two. Only because for Goyo, Jaeger, and Mira, I feel like you're gonna need those. Like in some scenario, you're gonna need those. But with the two down Valkyrie, it's like, yeah, you can go so far, but like if you're good with them, you're good with them. And like I said, I'm gonna say it again. If you don't want to use Tubal, you can sub him in for Kaid or Echo. So if you don't want to use Tubal, you use Kaid. You don't want Kaid, you can use Echo. And then for Valkyrie, if you don't want to use Valkyrie, you can use Mew. But in this cases, I'm gonna use these top five. And then in the future, if they're getting banned, you can use a sub in for those. And yeah, it's Valkyrie. And my nose hurts. And I've been thinking, if Missile is a place where you don't necessarily play but hold angles on, you don't have to go C4 if you use Kaid. You can use, sorry, you can use barbed wire, Like, it's a better way to watch. And for Missile, they're going to honestly want to take Missile if they can, just to have a better understanding of the side setup. If your defense is too good enough to, like, penetrate, they're going to go somewhere else. And if they go somewhere else, they're going to push Missile. And I do have a Kaid on that wall because you would want to play that. And that's just trying to extend sight. Like I said, it kind of falls on me for honestly reinforcing between sites because when I do that is like it shouldn't affect the outside of sight, but it kind of does in a way because you're gonna be moving in ways that you're gonna have to be like unpredictable because if they already take sight, you can only come from one way. So it's like it kind of falls under their hand on saying, okay, they just went to lab exit. They can only come out of one other way. So it kind of limits them from like honestly trying to like guess so many times and just to realize you can't go nowhere else but this area. And then it honestly it's between you and that teammate or you and the enemy who's gonna win this fight. So I say that I really won't say, I mean, I consider it as extending sight because you're putting a util over there and you're playing it as if it's sight. So yes, if you're gonna play Kaid at all, Kaid missile wall. So you're gonna be playing that missile wall. So and yes, you would have someone playing over there to watch those walk-ins and lockers and then lab support. Echo. And you notice I impact the hatch. Like I was telling myself earlier, well, I was saying it earlier, if they do take this hatch, it's okay. If they drop down, there's not much they can do. You have the mirror on the wall, and then you have, if it's played properly, you have someone playing missile, and then they just literally stuck. They have to wait for a guy to push lockers or towards missile to honestly clear out the guy ass in missile and then have a whole drone coming through in and out and then you can just give it up on side sight and then you're clear and then everything falls into place if you just listen to yourself and listen to your team. That's one thing. And then two, still on the same topic, if they do take this hatch and like they get a Habana for example and they get the hatch, that's fine. Now you have Echo. Echo can use his drone from upstairs and downstairs, but be mindful though. Keep one upstairs. Don't try to, obviously have them downstairs and come back up, but at least keep one upstairs so you can watch and whatnot. And then for Echo, honestly, I think he can play upstairs too as well, just to pick them off one by one, or like just keep, booming them, just keep shockwaving them in a way. So yeah, and then long story short, like it's Echo. There's nothing else you can do for Echo but just shockwave somebody, and then honestly use what you got to kill them. And then I think it don't go invisible no more. I think it is goes invisible. I need some water. I think it goes invisible. I'm not sure. But yeah, that's just honestly what I've been thinking about. But yeah, it's Echo. And also, you're gonna be playing Sight as well, not as Echo, but like as any player in general. And I'm gonna keep saying this. And I did a moment jumble, like I knew that because I know it's gonna be a big problem if this site is actually used like how I demonstrated. It's like, bro, me closing off between sites, it can affect it. I get that. Like, I absolutely, I guarantee you, I know that. So you're gonna have to be playing site more, like in itself. Like you're gonna be playing site. So it's a okay if they take certain things. Don't let them take angles. It's like it goes like for any game for any site setup. It goes a long way if you have too many head holes and feet holes, and then you get clustered by your own site. Versus you can have site on lockdown and then have somewhat extensions, and then you can give those up and like let them play on your site. And it goes a long way on playing on your site, so that means they play on your terms. So it's like you're not afraid to like move around inside site because you know what you have to bring. Like you know what you're doing, you know what you did to site. So it's like giving the enemy like your site is basically like giving them your fucking whole identity. It's like don't let them play on your site and kill you. So that goes for like post plants. If they post plant and they take your site setup, you're screwed because now you have to fight them on your site setup. And depending on how good your site setup is, it's gonna be a very hard time playing against your site setup. So it goes a long way on just trying to like make site rotate, reinforce rotate, and then not even play at all, or just like trying to be as the best you can as possible, because it's gonna honestly bite you in the butt. Because if you do give it up, if you give up the wrong things, it will be tough enough and tougher to play them because you can't push them like you need to. And here's mute. And like I said earlier, if you don't want to use Valkyrie, you can use mute. And for bans, you're gonna want to ban Twitch, Brava, IQ. And it goes a long way. Like I always think in the way that I always think Habana when I hear multiple hatches and crossfires. Like when I hear like crosses and hatches, I just hear Habana. And of course Habana is very good in certain scenarios that deal with hatches. But in my brain I was like, why not use mute, to like cover you know, cover the mirrors, you know what I'm saying? And let's just say they go Grim. And before they use Grim, they want to flash out or like frag out Mira. Those three ADSs would take all three of those grenades, and they have two max. So two nades, one flash, two nades. They're taking that. And then let's just say Grim shoots his Grims in that area. Literally, it's a mute jammer right there. So let's just say, God forbid, the Grims does not hit the mirror. Not the mirror, the mute jammer. She can honestly play on the mute jammer and not be scanned. So it's like in a way that, yeah, you're there, but really and truly, someone else can play on the opposite side and frag out on the Goyo traps, and then honestly frag out on like the window. Not, bro, really, not the window, the doorway or the hatch. You know what I'm saying? So it goes a long way on just trying to like frag out someone, because you have to make sure they're completely fragged out. Because don't get me wrong, we all had a moment where like someone throws a grenade in the room, and then we just swing this person off the grenade being thrown at us, and we kill them, and the grenade is just completely useless. So it goes a long way on like trying to actually frag out somebody and making sure they're fragged out. Because like I said, like every time someone flash somebody and run in, but right off that flash, the enemy will swing you as soon as the flash goes off and kills you, and like all of a sudden it looks like they killed you while they were flash, which all the time it does happen like that, because you're just swinging off like the impact of just the flash, or like the instinct on like the moment the flash goes off. They're gonna be figuring out and knowing that you're gonna want to swing them when that thing goes off. So it's like, hey, might as well swing you. Like, shit, if I'm flash, I'm flash. But it goes a long way. But that's just what I think. And it doesn't look impossible, but it looks possible, because in certain scenarios, or situations, you wouldn't really want to do dumb things, you know?